The Los Angeles Chargers got the great news. While other teams dominate headlines with coaching overhauls, front office shakeups, and major trades, the Chargers are taking a different route. Stability, and the Chargers are making this their biggest advantage. So let's explore what is happening with the Chargers right now. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Chargers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Bowl. So, the Los Angeles Chargers are going to retain assistant GM Chad Alexander. He was a strong candidate for the Jacksonville Jaguars general manager position, but after not making the final cut, he remains with the Chargers. This is great news for the franchise. Having Alexander stay on board means that the Chargers' front office structure remains intact, avoiding any disruptions that could slow down their progress. He has been a crucial part of the team's roster building process, working closely with GM Joe Hortiz to construct a competitive squad. It is interesting to know when Joe Hortiz interviewed for general manager positions in recent years, teams often asked about the people he'd hire to work with him. Hortiz always had a clear answer about who his assistant GM would be. Chad Alexander. Here's what he said. Through all my interviews, it was, hey, if I get this job, I'm bringing him as my assistant GM. He was always the guy I had ticketed. Chad was my first choice before I got this job. And there were a lot of reasons. 20 years of experience working with him. He was a no-brainer. He didn't get hired, though, because he's a friend. He was hired because of the confidence and the trust I have in him as an evaluator and leader. From here, you can get an idea of how deep the connection between the two is and how much of a positive impact it will have on the Chargers' growth. Look around the league, and you'll see how rare this kind of stability is. Take the Detroit Lions, for example. They've been one of the best-run teams in the NFL over the past couple of seasons. But this offseason, they lost several key front office and coaching staff members to other teams. Meanwhile, the Chargers have managed to keep their core leadership in place, allowing them to move forward with a consistent vision. Another positive sign? This has been a remarkably quiet offseason for the Chargers, and there are no major controversies, no locker room drama, no distractions, just a focused, well-run franchise preparing to take the next step. In contrast, other teams are dealing with messy contract disputes, trade rumors, and significant personnel changes. A quiet offseason isn't just a sign of stability, it's a sign that the Chargers have a clear plan and are sticking to it. And that plan centers around improving the roster in key areas. The primary focus? Giving Justin Herbert the support he needs. There's no question that Herbert is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league, but to maximize his potential, the Chargers need to surround him with more weapons. A true number one wide receiver and a reliable running back would go a long way in making this offense even more dynamic. But offense isn't the only priority. The 2025 NFL Draft presents a huge opportunity for the Chargers to strengthen their defense, particularly when it comes to the pass rush. This year's draft class is absolutely stacked with high-level edge rushers, and the Chargers are in a prime position to take advantage of that depth. Some of the biggest names to watch include James Pierce Jr., Mike Green, Michael Williams, and Shamar Stewart. Each of these prospects brings unique strengths to the table, and all have the potential to be game-changing players at the next level. This abundance of talent at edge rusher also gives the Chargers some flexibility when it comes to their roster decisions. One of the biggest questions heading into the offseason is what to do with veteran pass rusher Khalil Mack. There's no denying Mack has been a force on the field, but at his age and with his contract situation, the Chargers might have to consider moving on. If they do, they'll be able to free up valuable cap space, which could then be used to address other needs, particularly on offense. Among the draft's top edge rushers, one name that stands out is Shamar Stewart. At 6 feet 5 inches and 281 pounds, Stewart is a versatile defensive lineman who can line up at both defensive end and defensive tackle. His ability to generate pressure and disrupt plays in the trenches makes him a nightmare for opposing offenses. Unlike some edge rushers who specialize only in pass rushing, Stewart has the strength and technique to be a force in run defense as well. Adding him to the mix would give the Chargers more flexibility on defense and provide a long-term solution for their pass rush. There's also been some talk about whether the Chargers should explore a trade for a veteran edge rusher like Myles Garrett. On the surface, adding an elite talent like Garrett would seem like a no-brainer. But when you look at the bigger picture, it's clear why the Chargers may opt against such a move. Trading for a player of Garrett's caliber would require giving up significant draft capital, and that doesn't necessarily align with the team's long-term strategy. The Chargers are looking to build sustainable success, not make a short-term splash. With such a deep draft class at edge rusher, it makes more sense to invest in young, cost-controlled talent rather than sacrificing future assets for an expensive veteran. When you step back and look at the big picture, the Chargers are in a strong position heading into the 2025 season. They aren't making impulsive moves, and they aren't chasing headlines. Instead, they're sticking to a well-thought-out plan that prioritizes stability, smart roster decisions, and long-term success. At the end of the day, the Chargers are proving that sometimes the best offseason moves are the ones you don't make. By focusing on the draft, maintaining roster flexibility, and keeping their front office intact, they're setting themselves up for success, not just for 2025, but for years to come. They might not be dominating the offseason headlines, but when the regular season rolls around, this is a team that could surprise a lot of people. And that's exactly how you build a winner in the NFL. So now it's your turn. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.